Well, welcome to They Think It's All Sober.
Hello,
Fred,
hello. Thank
aka
you very much.
1991. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's just very surreal to be here because, so basically I heard about this podcast about like 14, 15 months ago. Actually, no, probably a bit longer than that, a year and a half ago. And I was very much a drinker at that point. And now I'm not.
There you go. So
Here we are.
I'll be expecting a big novelty check coming our direction.
Yeah, I feel like I owe you something. I mean, maybe me doing an episode is like my way of sort of thanking you guys, you know.
No, mate, that's amazing. And it's funny, actually. It's so bizarre because obviously, like, when we first started out, it was just Tom and I recording, not even on a studio or video. And then we're in our small little studio, and even these are like very intimate conversations. So kind of when you do them, you then forget that they like go out into the world. And like, we've been so grateful to, you know, have the numbers we have, etc. But it's not like Spotify or iTunes where you kind of, you know, there's like charts and stuff. You kind of forget about it. And then occasionally someone will come up and be like, oh my God, thank you so much. That really helps. And I guess that's why we do it. It's not for us, it's for other people. But yeah. hearing it's always so fascinating, isn't it? Because I still sometimes I'm like, oh shit, yeah, like this is our podcast. It's
Yeah. No, I really like the thing that you guys have created. Like, it does feel really wholesome and not like, there's nothing about it that feels like sort of money grabby or anything. Like, I feel like you guys just genuinely care about.
I
like,
wish we had money from
yeah, would be nice. But,
yeah.
But like, I feel like you guys are just doing something really like wholesome and from a place of love, which I think is maybe what really resonated with me. Like, I think I would have smelt it from a mile off if you guys were like, and you know, you have a Patreon, but if you were like, yeah, you're charging people for stuff or whatever, right, it would be different.
Yeah, we have some pretty firm opinions around people who are a couple of years sober charging like 100 quid for Zoom calls. Feels quite disingenuous.
Yeah, we've just said we're not having anyone on that's like a sobriety coach if they aren't qualified and have done like degrees and like, you know, actually studied the science and got to it. I just don't think it's enough these days to go, I'm now sober, my life has changed for the great, and I'm going to go and charge everyone to talk about it. I mean, like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
I think like the anecdotal aspect of, you know, what you guys talk about and the guests you have on is quite a lot more powerful, I think, because people aren't trying to get anything out of it. They're literally just coming on and being like, this is my experience and these are the funny stories and the situations that I got myself into, you know. And I feel like that, like, for example, like, and I know, Jamie, you went on this episode, but I really liked the Dylan Francis one just because he's a DJ and like I could really resonate.
Thanks,
I'm
mate.
sorry. I've already pissed the shit. But that really resonated with me, like, you know, because I can just relate to like, you know, his kind of story basically.
He was funny as fuck. Like, do you know what was actually one of my favorite episodes because I wasn't in it? Because actually, like, normally you're in it and you'll remember little bits, but coming at it from a completely new perspective and like you smashed it and he's just such a charismatic human being. And I think he's a fascinating example of like a character who people, if they didn't know he was sober, probably still thinks he gets absolutely off his nut, but he presents in a really great way that like, yeah, life can continue and you can just keep having fun and keep being successful, but still be fucking mental.
Yeah, I think I think everyone would be surprised at how many DJs are sober or don't drink much. Yeah. I think like even Dylan Francis was talking about Diplo in that episode, and he's like, yeah, he has like maybe a glass of champagne every couple of weeks or something, right? But most of the time he's like a kind of health freak. You think a lot of these guys are way more rock and roll than they actually are.
Yeah, I know.
It's good, isn't it? I mean, he's like, the Diplo's Run Club, it looks like it's kicked off massively. He's like now just doing Diplo's Run Club and playing like a arena level like show and then running 5K.
Yeah, is this where it's heading? Like, is there going to be like this full 180 into sort of health vibes? I mean, I wouldn't be against it.
I watched a really interesting article this morning on the BBC that was essentially saying that like 18 to 26 year olds now, I think they said there was a 69% decline in them like partying.
Right.
So it's interesting for us in the dance space as to like, hopefully that doesn't mean the death of club culture because we all need it and love it and it's really important. But then is there also a flip on people taking their lives more seriously and being more health conscious? Like, I wonder how those two things will align. Like, will there still be a culture of rave and partying? Because we all know it's an important part and like of a journey going somewhere and going to a venue and a rave for the first time. But then also kids being like, oh, actually, maybe I don't want to do ket.
I can kind of see it pivoting like into a more kind of healthy route, but I don't think stuff will die. Like, I could imagine, for example, you know, like a 10 till 6 a.m. nightclub sort of vibe might die off a bit. I think it kind of already is. But you'd have like more like daytime parties, for example. I mean, I'm way more up for like daytime parties. I don't know about
do you want to DJ at 6 p.m? Like, fucking come on.
Yeah, I get to bed at a reasonable time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can definitely see that happening, and I obviously would like dance music to not die a horrible death to like.
Yeah, but I mean, we'd all be fucked.
I was about to say, we'd all be here being like, yeah. And this podcast was solely responsible for it.
Maybe like we want to worry more about AI before, the sort of health wave. But let's not get onto AI anyway.
Yeah. No, it's but no, honestly, thanks for coming on. I know we were chatting about it, and because you recently turned the year sober, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, we I know you're umming and ahhing about it, but I think with half our listeners still drink. And I think a lot of people kind of dive in and out a little bit. And a lot of the listeners are in like the early part of their sobriety. And as one of our biggest fears is actually getting this podcast going. We didn't feel like we were like validated enough to do it because it was so early and we waited. But actually in hindsight, we wish we'd have just done it from the get-go and just documented it because I think people find it really useful. Yeah,
I mean, I guess it's helped you guys a lot. It's just like staying on the straight and narrow as well, right? If you have like
it would be a very well documented relapse.
It is so fascinating. What was it? 50% of listeners are
still drinking.
Yeah. Or like sober curious.
Sober curious, and I think for a lot of people everyone wants to try and moderate before they go sober. I think for the most part. For me, it didn't work. For you, it couldn't work.
Nope.
Didn't work for me.
Nope.
So, but I think there are some people out there that can. Fuck those people. But
I mean, they're not even thinking about quitting, right? Because they're just fine. They don't even have to.
But for some people, like it does. I mean, that's why we started. We were never like anti-alcohol. We never wanted to be anti it. And for a lot of people, it's like, hey, maybe drinking, going down from like 6 or 7 days a week to twice a week has made enough of a change for them to be like, that's cool. I feel good doing that. And fair play. Like,
I mean, that moderation thing. I mean, like my drinking massively petered up. I guess we'll come back to this later on. But like, trying to do moderation towards the end of my drinking career, it's just like you just negotiating with the devil, aren't you? Like it just makes it even harder.
Oh, like, it's awful. It's just torment.
Yeah. It's like drinking on hard mode, basically trying to like negotiate with yourself, make a deal with yourself. Like, I'm going to drink here, not drink there. I'm only going to drink this much and whatever, it
becomes painful.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, let's jump into Jamie's time machine and
I'm ready
go
for
back.
it. I'm warmed up now.
Can't wait for this.
Lucy was in it. Right, are we ready?
We're back.
It's beautiful.
Back in Fred's childhood.
Young Fred, what were the first sort of memories for you of like alcohol growing up?
So I think to sort of paint the picture a bit, I was like a really shy kid. Like I was always called shy by everyone, which I guess now I look back on it was just like me being like socially anxious, I guess.
Right.
And that just went on throughout my life basically, but I'll come back to that. So like my earliest experiences with drinking would have been things like, the big family birthdays, like someone's 40th or 50th, or like weddings or even funerals and stuff like that, where you'd maybe have like a bit of champagne, or you'd be going around minesweeping when people went at their tables and you're like, having little sips of beer here and there and, being a bit naughty. And there was definitely always like a streak of that for me of like being a little bit naughty with the drink. There was one particular time when I think it was at my mate's 11th birthday where he'd stolen like some vodka from his parents' drinking cabinet, and we were all camping like in his garden. It sort of backed onto a forest, and we were all getting drunk on like Ribena and vodka. And one of the guys had also stolen their dad's Marlboro Reds as well. So we were having like our first cigarette as well.
11, I rate
Marlboro Reds as well.
Yeah, but the thing that like when I look back at those times, it really sticks out to me how much that made me feel part of the gang. Like, because I was always like a really kind of shy person at school. Like, was always like very reserved. That having a drink and even having a smoke or just doing anything that was naughty really made me feel accepted, because it's like, oh, this guy fucks, like this guy's cool. He doesn't care about the rules and that kind of thing, So that always gave me confidence, I think, which is kind of a dangerous thing. And I think that throughout the years, as you go through your teenage years, and again, that becomes part of your identity, I guess, when it comes to like, these house parties and stuff like that. And, when I was like sort of 16, I think it was when I just did my GCSEs. That was when like MCAT was a thing. Mm-hmm. So I like kind of got into that a little bit. I had like a mate that sort of dealt it, even though you could buy it as
the
like,
old cactus feed.
Yeah, plant food online.
Dude.
What was it like? It was like a tenner for like a gram online or something.
So I remember, I think I'm a little older than you, but I was at university when that came out. And I remember, like just nights where at the time you're like, this is the best thing I've ever felt. Genuinely, like it was like a high I've never experienced.
Yeah.
But the next day, still to this day, like I've never experienced a come down like it. Like it was like world crushingly brutal.
Yeah. And it smelled like cat piss.
It was horrific.
But yeah, like there was something about that as well. Like I never really got into sort of coke too much. I mean, I've done plenty of it over the years, but just doing the MCAT as a 16-year-old in front of your mates and being like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm gonna do drugs, you know. Like it's basically cocaine, and just sort of that again gave me loads of confidence and really like, I mean, like you said, made me feel fucking amazing when you know, getting drunk and getting high when you're younger felt a lot more amazing than it did towards the end of my sort of career of drinking and all that.
I still have moments where I'll be like walking through Tesco or walking through somewhere, and they'll have a cleaning product that has the remote scent of reminding me of MCAT, and I'm instantly transported back to like, oh my, I do not like it at all. It's very triggering.
It's wild, isn't it? Because like someone somewhere bought plant feed and sniffed it for the first time and discovered this. But then you think about it, someone for the first time somewhere like started rolling up a plant and then set fire to it and started smoking it. Like
a bit more natural though, isn't it? Like because was MCAT like chemically really similar to like cocaine or something?
It was like a synthetic speed, I think.
Yeah.
It was fucked.
Yeah.
If anyone's listening that hasn't tried MCAT or methadone, don't.
In case you were thinking of listening to sobriety podcast to get into various drugs.
Listen, sometimes it's inspiring in all the wrong ways.
But just to think that you could buy that online and it would get like sent in an envelope to your door. Crazy. But yeah, and then so basically being quite messy was quite a common thing when I was younger. And I always felt like I could drink a lot compared to some of my mates. Like I was a bit of a kind of like bucket head, could kind of like handle it really well. And again, that was like a thing where that gave me confidence because I was like, yeah, you know, I could be part of the crew. But I would very frequently like throw up from alcohol. Like I was really bad with the spins. Like when I was younger, as I got older, I kind of got a bit better with it, but it would only take like 3 pints or whatever. And if I tried to sleep after that, the room would just spin so bad. Which like now looking back at it, you think like, well, yeah, of course, because it's like your body doesn't like this stuff really, you know. I listened to, when I decided to quit, I listened to Alan Carr's The Easy Way to Quit Drinking, which is like really, really helpful, I find, because you go from maybe white knuckling, trying to stop drinking to like having like actual science tell you like, well, this is what it's doing to your body and so. One of the things it said was, you know, that first time you drink alcohol when you're younger, maybe you have like a shot of vodka or something, or a bit of whiskey, and how bad it tastes. And that's like biological proof of how alcohol, your body doesn't like it. It's like if we were like a caveman and we picked up like a fruit whilst we were foraging and it had fermented and gone off and sort of alcohol was like brewing or whatever, you would spit that out because you'd be like, oh, this is bad for me, you know. Like that itself is just like the essence of like how alcohol is not supposed to be consumed,
so true.
you know. But yeah, no, it didn't stop me from doing it.
It's interesting with the confidence thing, isn't it? Because I feel like in the moment when you're like, fucking, yeah, I'm Fred, I've got all these mates and whatever, and you go home and you're like, you know, I would always tell myself this like kind of just this pathetic little mess, which funnily enough takes you back to that shy, anxious little boy that I was when I was younger. People don't see that juxtaposition. So they're like seeing like, oh yeah, Jamie's really confident, like he's really outgoing. But actually, like, when I get home and I'm on my own, even when I was pissed, I'd be like, oh, I don't like this at all. Like I kind of went back to that like really lonely, sheltered child version of self.
Yeah.
But in a weird way, you then lean into the bravado ego more and do it more and more because then people start to expect that version of you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's so intrinsically linked to, you know, like the kind of social anxiety or just like general anxiety that like I've basically had all my life, like from as far as I can remember when I was a little kid, just like deathly shy, like hated going to any sort of like birthday party or like going to school was like really tricky for me, like especially through my teenage years, like really, really disliked school, not for the academic side of things, but like the social side of things and how much it's like a bit of a sort of like popularity contest. And it's really tricky when you're someone that isn't like naturally kind of outgoing or naturally like a center of attention person. Like school favors people that are actually a bit more like
Yeah.
Like the person that's really good at sport, or like the person
Yeah.
that's just really confident, or that kind of thing. And I was a bit more of like a kind of a background character. But when I drank, I was more part of the crew. Like that's where I kind of came more into my element, I guess. And I guess like the drinking, that kind of character that I sort of aspire to be, like the kind of rock star, kind of like want to be like Pete Doherty kind of guy. Like I was like a massive indie kid basically, and in my teenage years I like sort of idolized Pete Doherty.
Great role model.
Yeah, like really terrible, not a great guy to like idolize. But because bands like the Libertines and they were like all about having that kind of like heroin rock star kind of vibe, like the tortured artist kind of thing, and I really like looked up to that. And like I was like a guitarist when I was younger, so like I really sort of like saw myself going that path, and it definitely fed into me sort of becoming a DJ, and just I'd like kind of always wanted to be in music. But yeah, just unfortunately in the music industry, as you guys know, it's just like quite intrinsically linked to like drinking culture and drug culture and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, so I guess like late teens, when did you really start getting into like music? Were you doing like band stuff, or like when did the sort of DJing really kind of take off? And
yeah, so like I was really into guitar, and I had a few mates at school that would either play drums or play bass or whatever, and we would sort of like jam and whatever. And I did do a little bit of being in a band for like a very short amount of time, but then I had a teacher that is actually now. Actually, I'm going to shout him out. It's Chris Garvey, who was now Circadian, who was in the Prototypes before.
Hell yeah!
So he was like my music tech teacher at school.
No way. So I used to I managed Chris in like 2019.
Really?
Yeah, when like up until the Prototypes broke up, and I remember him saying he was lecturing. So that's so bizarre. So I would have been probably managing. That would have been way before. No, that would have been way before.
No, because we're talking like 15 years.
But that's
ago.
still crazy.
Yeah,
what a guy.
Yeah. So like,
what a guy.
He was like on the cusp of starting the Prototypes with Nick at that point.
Wow.
So he'd be coming in with like drum and bass that he's working on, and around that time, like Pendulum were like really blowing up, and then like Hospital Records stuff was really blowing up, and Sub Focus was really blowing up as well. Which is like was just bizarre because I now work with him, and we're doing this worship thing together, which is insane. And so like that's around the age of 17, 18, that's when I was finding out about drum and bass, and there was kind of like a link between, I guess Pendulum did this. They crossed kind of over from drum and bass and rock music and then melded them together. And that really piqued my interest because I was like, I've never really liked electronic music, but then now you've got these guys are doing rock and electronic music. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. I did like the Prodigy as well, which sort of did that a little bit. So that's kind of how I then started finding out about electronic music production and realizing that I could basically be the band myself. Like I could make all the music myself, and that really appealed to me because it's quite hard to rely on other people.
Yeah.
And
that's someone that's probably naturally quite shy. You're like, perfect. I can do it all.
Yeah. I don't have to like talk to anyone, or I can just do everything on my own clock. And then like went to like a few raves, but like I was never like much of a raver, to be honest. Like I've always loved the music, but I've always been like a pub guy, like always been more of a pub guy. I'd never really liked sort of fancy bars or clubs or anything like that.
So you didn't have any of the sort of like mad MDMA pilly?
I do have a lot of that, yeah. I say a lot. Like I have like some experiences with that. I do remember going to Global Gathering in like 2012.
Oh my God.
What a time.
I think it was 2012.
Where was that?
It was up in like Stratford upon Avon.
Yeah, I was going to say it was like middle of the country, wasn't it?
I ended up there once, and not planned. And yeah.
Is that it? We got to leave it there?
That's it. It was around the time I was playing in Engineers Experiment when it was live.
Right.
Like a live act. And I think we, like, I can't remember how it happened. I think we played Boomtown in its like infancy, and then it was like one of the next festivals.
No way.
And yeah. But I remember it being very messy and not really much more.
It was a very, very messy festival. I think I tried, like, I did a whole cocktail of different drugs at that festival. I think I kind of discovered techno at that point. And I remember taking like ketamine for the first time, like a proper like dose of it, and feeling like I was floating through the ceiling of the tent that I was in. Like I was actually holding on to my mates, being like, please don't let go of me because I'm feeling like I'm going to float out of this tent. Which, I mean, you know, that wasn't like the worst experience of my life. I mean, like most of my times with drugs have kind of been okay, to be honest. There was actually one time when I was doing this is going forward a little bit, but when I was doing a gig about 8 years ago, maybe in Czech Republic, and I'd done like a really small like club somewhere in Prague, maybe. And after I'd done my gig, the promoter like put a pill on, he's like, open your mouth, stick out your tongue. I was like, why? He's like, just do it. I stuck out my tongue and he just put a whole pill on my tongue. I was just like, okay, we're doing this then, and just swallowed it. Very swiftly left, went back to my hotel room, started coming up. And I was literally for like hours just pacing around my hotel room with like the TV on with like I don't know, the Czech news or something on, just like having an absolute whale of a time on my own. Absolutely bizarre.
It's funny though, isn't it? Like, we laugh at those moments and hopefully our listeners get the laugh from it. But actually, when you think about it, it's like those situations aren't overly healthy for everyone involved, are they? Like,
no,
do you know what I mean?
Great.
It's like, I'm not saying he forced it upon you, but equally at the same time, like,
it sounds very questionable saying it out loud. Actually,
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever really
Do you know what I mean?
about that
Too much tongue out.
being drugged. By a
So
promoter.
I guess talking about like your early days of becoming a DJ, you know, when you're first starting out and you're taking gigs for free or 100 quid, like,
yeah.
how did drink play into that? Because we were just talking with Lucy about like the currency of gigs being alcohol in the early days. Like, how was that for you, and how was it getting into the music scene?
Yeah, I think luckily I've always had like sort of decent management or like decent people that have helped me with the bookings and stuff. So I never really did anything for free or like for booze, for example. But I do remember like playing at Fabric and getting paid in cash, you know, like which I think that's the only time in my career I've ever been paid in cash, which is kind of weird. Like when you get given an envelope at the end of your set, I don't think you really see that these days.
No.
But I mean, like, drink was really linked into those early days because, you know, the anxiety was just like through the roof. Like, and I mean, this is still something I have whenever I play a show, which like I have to tell myself it's because I care about what I'm going to do, right? Like, you get nervous because you care about putting on a good show and just doing a good job. But I didn't really know how to handle that when I started doing gigs, and the way to handle it is just like drinking, isn't it? You know, you get quite battered. Like I wasn't always too bad with it, but there have been a lot of shows, a lot of those earlier shows where I would get really, really drunk. You know, like for the listeners that don't know how sort of riders work, you can put on like, within reason, almost anything you want really in terms of booze. Like, you can have like a bottle of tequila and a load of beers. Well, that was basically my rider, like, you know, tequila and beers. And naturally my process became, you know, having a few shots of tequila before going on to sort of settle the nerves. But that's not it. Like, I've since realized, like, since I've gone sober, the performance is so much better. Like, what I do is so much better when I don't drink. But back then I thought that was like really lubricating me and like helping me actually do
So
a good
inventive.
job. Yeah, like I'm such a rock star right now, like looking really cool on stage.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because I guess for our listeners, like, I think in those early days as well, you're not traveling with like 10 mates. So it's not like, oh, you and 10 mates going into a dressing room and having 10 beers and a bottle of tequila. It's like you turn up to a show, maybe at most with one other person, and that tequila bottle and those beers are for you.
Yeah.
And maybe you might share it with a couple of people in the dressing room, but 9 times out of 10, they've got their own rider as well. So it's a very like isolating experience. So, like, it is your rider. It's not a communal rider.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point you bring up about that, like being on your own as a DJ. There's so much of it is solitude, like, you know, flying on your own, hotel on your own, dinner on your own, turn up to the venue. Like, you might be able to get chatting with some people, but sometimes there's like nothing backstage. There's no one backstage. And you're just on your own, drinking on your own. And then, like, you know, the sort of habits that I've got into, or did get into, was like finishing the show, being quite buzzed. Like, even if you do like a show that isn't that great, you're still full of adrenaline and still really pumped up, right? So, like, naturally, I would sort of take a bottle of tequila back to the hotel and like just be drinking it on my own in the hotel. And it's like that, I think that did start to become a little bit of a problem. I think when you start drinking on your own, like away from people, and sort of it gets too comfortable and too sort of like escapey and that sort of thing. So I was a little bit guilty of that. Sort of a bit later on, actually, with the DJing. I think earlier on I wasn't too bad with that. But yeah, like, you know, and if you look at it as well, right? So getting a bottle of tequila like every weekend, sometimes like 2 shows a weekend, or sometimes more, drinking like straight, you know, spirits, you're doing that like Friday, Saturday night. It's not like a natural, like normal people don't drink like that, you know. Normal people go out for a few drinks and just, you know, call it a night. But if you're doing that every week, typically, you know, like do maybe like 60 to 80 shows a year kind of thing, and you're getting pissed at all of them, it's just so not good for you. Is it?
It's not great when you look at it and you're like,
yeah, when you add it all up, in the grand
like
scheme
that's
of things.
80 bottles of tequila.
And like, you know, I'm not going to claim to be like someone that has had like, you know, struggles on the same level as like real people that have had like alcoholism and stuff like that. And, you know, some people drink every day. Some people get through like a bottle of vodka every day. And I've never been on that kind of level, but still like drinking like that is not good for you. It's very interesting to look at photos from me from like a year, 2 years ago. Like my face, I've heard you guys talk about this on the podcast before.
Yeah.
The difference in your face is just like unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like you've gone back to like being a teenager again or something.
I saw someone I hadn't seen for ages on the weekend at my friend's kid's birthday party, and he was like, oh, mate, you're like Benjamin Button. I hadn't seen him in 6 years. So they just remember me as this like bloated 3 stone heavier guy. And I was like, it's so bizarre because then when you're so out of it now, I really don't recognize that version of self. But to a lot of people, that was a version of self that they knew for many moons. It's peculiar, isn't it?
Yeah. It's really quite like a affirming thing when you can look back at that stuff. Like I almost don't recognize the guy. Like old Fred, I'm a bit like, I don't really like. I can sort of like
seeing.
Yeah, I can kind of remember what you were like, and I kind of don't really like it. You know?
Did you ever take it too far, like doing shows like completely like off your face and fuck up and think fuck, like that was a direct consequence of being too drunk?
Definitely, yeah. Like I've done the classic stopping the song that's playing like quite a few times.
Yeah,
definitely just being in that whole sort of whirlwind of being drunk, basically. Like something that is so evident to me now. I've stopped. It's like the level of chaos just kind of disappears. Like I always thought that everything was just really chaotic because of like everyone's drunk and everyone's having fun and everything, and just everything is chaotic. I realised that was all just kind of like mostly in my head, to be honest. Like when I stopped drinking and I'm in these environments of, you know, backstages or whatever, or just even when I go to gigs just as a punter, everything is just way calmer than when I was drinking. And it's not because like I was necessarily going crazy, like, like having a crazy time. It's just like your mind is just, well, my mind was just like way calmer as soon as I stopped drinking. And it's like a really kind of eye-opening thing again. But yeah, like going back to the messing up as a DJ, I started getting on the mic maybe like 3-4 years ago. That when you're pissed is not a good idea. Like sometimes
let it roll. Let it roll.
Just like counting down in the wrong order. Like you're the only one that calls for the reload. I mean, there was literally stuff like that. Or like, you know, if I was doing a show where it wasn't necessarily popping, which like, you know, like if you follow me on social media, I'm only posting like the good stuff. Like there is a lot of stuff that I do, maybe less so now because my career's in like a much better place than it was before. But a lot of the earlier shows were like, you know, there's a few empty rooms in there. There's a few indifferent crowds and well, a lot of indifferent crowds because when you're starting out, you're really trying to win people over, you know. And I would get a little bit frustrated. If I was quite drunk, I would almost get a bit frustrated at the crowd, being like, fucking come on, like, give me some energy and all this. And looking back at that, I'm like, that's not really like the right vibe. If people are going out to just have a party and you're just there getting a bit angry at them.
It's interesting though, I think within any genre, but drum and bass in particular, I've noticed it's obviously everyone's aware of each other, everyone's friends on some degree with each other. But as you say, it's very isolating if you're a solo act or maybe even a duo. A lot of the time, one of the duos doing the show on their own. You're traveling on your own. You kind of have these friendships, but you're not necessarily overly close to these people. So often I assume, you know, you talk way more than I do, but like the commonality is like, oh, let's have a beer. And it might be with someone that you never would have gone out with, excuse me, or been friends with, like in the real world. But then you're in a hotel together waiting to get a shuttle to a festival. And you're like, well, we may as well have a couple of vodkas because like, that's the easiest way to get through this kind of awkward interaction because we're both quite anxious and awkward people anyway.
Yeah.
Do you find that's become a theme within that community in particular?
I'd say so, yeah. I do think a lot of music people are quite awkward. Like a lot of DJs are quite awkward and maybe like a little bit socially not great because of like what we do really. Like, you know, a lot of what we do is quite isolated and we make a lot of music on our own. And then, you know, this is where the career is like a real roller coaster because like, say you could do like Monday to Friday working on tunes. You could basically be on your own all week if you wanted to, just working on stuff. And then on the weekend, it's like, bam, thrown into social situations, meeting other DJs, meeting fans, meeting, you know, whoever's like the promoters and stuff. And that, again, is like a real trigger for drinking because you're like, fuck, I need to take the edge off. I'm like really anxious because I've just been in my studio like all week.
Just been studio hermit.
Yeah, literally being like a little nerd. And then like you've got to like then be, you know, more life of the party, more sort of like social and you've got to chat to people.
And I guess you've then maybe got like a Lithuanian promoter who wants to take you out for dinner. So you've kind of got to be on because they've been very kind and booked you for a gig and you want to give them a good experience. But you might just want to chill in your hotel because you had to be up at 6 a.m. for the flight because it was the only flight to that bit of Eastern Europe that week because Wizz Air is shit. Like these are all the things that I think people listening that are maybe fans of you probably don't always understand that like, and I see it across my roster, like it's not as simple as turn up to the show, have a sick show, go home, get paid. Like the emotional toll on DJs in particular. I think about it with my bands. It's really interesting. Like I always say it's kind of like there's two worlds. My bands, my artists, they're like a team and they're like together and they write these records from like a place of struggle and emotion and like they often have quite emotional reactions. Whereas the DJ sometimes, because they're on their own, sometimes they're a bit more like mathematical and pragmatic about how they approach things, but they're often quite more anxious because they have been so isolated. And then, it's like thrown into these situations. And we were referencing, you know, Avicii in a previous episode. It's like all of us within the industry, I think, have such a duty of care to make sure that people like yourself are looked after because it's so easy just to be like, it's fine. You're getting paid loads of money. There's a couple of bottles of tequila. Good luck.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, Avicii is like a very good reference to bring up. I find it quite harrowing actually, like seeing, I think there was the recent one. Was it called like I'm Tim or something? I can't remember what it was. But you can like I'm nowhere near on the level that he was on, but like you can see a lot of sort of similarities, or like you can really resonate with a lot of that stuff that you see on that documentary because like the way that you can be, you know, just constantly shipped around, flying here, flying there, hotel room, like the tiredness is like unbelievable. Like the tours that I've done with the worship guys, which we've done in America, like some of them we've done where we've had like 4 shows in a row in like 4 different cities, like 4 days sequentially. And it's like that, just like that, because you're getting pissed at every single one as well. By the end of it, you are literally a shell of a human being. We did one where I think we did maybe 4 shows in a row, then ended in LA. And we were playing at like the Mayan Theatre in LA, which is like this crazy like old venue there. And it played the show. I kind of like, this is after 4 days of like being on it. Didn't feel too great about the show I did. And then I had to wait around all night because we were going to do an after party at the Exchange, I think it is. And I just literally had like a full on kind of panic attack basically because my hotel was like round the corner. I like jetted out of the venue, just did a complete like Frenchie, disappeared to my hotel room, and everyone's like texting me, trying to call me, being like, "Oh, where are you? You've got to do this after party." And I was like having a full on anxiety attack in my room, not being able to like say anything to anyone, being like, "I need to quit this career. I need to get home." Like this is halfway through a tour as well, so I've quite often got into spots like that. I was listening to the episode you did with, I think it was Alex. Was it the girl like a couple of episodes ago? She talks a lot about anxiety. I can really resonate with that in the sense of like anxiety coming on whilst I was drinking. Like a lot of people talk about it with the hangovers or the come downs and stuff like that. But I got it really bad whilst drinking, both anxiety and like sort of paranoia, or just like this weird cloudy mix of just like horribleness. And that actually became the main reason for me to stop drinking. Because when I managed to sort of pin it down to that, I was like, well, I kind of don't really have much choice now. Like I kind of have to cut this thing out, because if I'm getting into these situations where I'm being like an unreliable person, disappearing off and not trusting people, like really freaking out. I could go out for a few beers with my mates, like some of my closest mates that I've known all my life. and then start just pranging out, feeling like they don't like me, or like having all of these horrible thoughts going through my head because of the booze.
Mm.
And you know that whole thing of like, people say, and it's a real myth, that drinking brings out your inner feelings, but I just do not agree with it, because like some of the thoughts and some of the places that my head would go whilst drinking are like so not me as a person. Like since I've been sober, it's eradicated so much crap, so much guff out of my life that it's just like so useless. All of these horrible things, and like getting into arguments with your partner and all this kind of thing. Like whilst all of this was happening whilst drinking, all of these horrible things in my life were happening whilst drinking. As soon as I cut it out, it was like just eradicated so much crap. I'm so thankful that I did it.
Mate, that's great. I mean, do you think, so that night in LA, you think was a big kind of like pivot for you in terms of like, I've got to make a change?
It's up there. I don't think that necessarily hit me like a big sign to do that. It was just like another bad thing that's come from drinking.
Yeah.
There's been a couple other times when I've been in similar situations where I've had to maybe do like an after party or had to show up somewhere, and like, yeah, the anxiety has just like massively hit me from the drink. Because like now I just can't stress enough like how much more like reliable I am as a person now that I don't drink, and I'm not just like having all this crap cloud my mind, making me worry and all that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot less stressful.
Yeah, no, it really is. Like I genuinely feel like I can do my job properly now. When I quit drinking, I was really worried that I was going to hate what I do.
Right.
Like I think all drinkers or ex-drinkers can relate to this, where like you think it's your personality to be a drinker. You think you're supposed to be doing this. Like it's so intrinsically linked with who you are as a person. And I thought I was just going to lose myself. I thought I was going to like lose my humor, lose my ability to write music. I thought I was like Samson, like cutting off his hair, right? It's just going to lose all my magical powers. But like it couldn't be further from the truth. Yeah, do you feel stronger for it?
Oh, so much.
But yeah, it couldn't be further from the truth. Like everything that, and yeah, I'm going to quote a quote now, but everything that alcohol promised me, sobriety delivered. It's like all of the kind of confidence that I wanted, all the kind of like mental clarity and all of that came from not drinking. I was drinking to try and become like a more kind of confident person, to be able to kind of like do my job and you know, maybe sort of like fill a role of being like a little bit of a rock star, maybe, or like wannabe rock star anyway, you know.
Mate, it's such an interesting like journey, but you have to go on it to realize it, don't you? That actually, you know, weirdly, confidence doesn't come from alcohol. It's something that, you know, has to be learned and worked on. And, you know, it's not instantaneous, is it? It doesn't just come, you know, day 3 of sobriety and you're like, oh, I'm confident. But like, actually, I think just the steps that you take on that early part of sobriety just help build up your confidence. And every little thing you do, and suddenly you're like, oh, I didn't need a shot of tequila or, you know, smash a load of Jaeger bombs or whatever it is to like, you know, get onto a stage or do whatever it is you need to do. But it's
the like the hardest bit, and like you know, it's not all like sunshine and rainbows. Like the hardest bit I find with not drinking still is like the initial bit of going to a social event or like going to a gig, going on stage, or just generally those things where you have to get out of your comfort zone. Like that's never going to go away. But once you realize that the best part of drinking, well, at least in my case, was like that first bit of like where you feel like you're breaking the ice, where you're cheersing a shot, where you're like, where you've just met up with people. That's the hardest bit. And once you can get past that, I feel like I've got to the point now where I don't really think about drinking when I'm in a social situation. Once I've got past that first bit, I'm very aware of it to begin with. You know, you meet up with some mates and you go for beers and like you're very aware that you're ordering a 0 and you're not part of the gang.
Yeah.
But that's all kind of in your head. You are part of the gang, but you just feel like you're not because you're just not partaking in the thing that everyone else is partaking in. The zeros have been instrumental. Like, I cannot stress that enough. The 0 beers are just like unbelievable. Shout out to Clearhead. It's like a Bristol brewery. Have you had that one?
Yeah.
They did it on tap at like D&B All Stars last year.
That's interesting.
When I'd just gone sober. And that
in Bristol or in Gunnersbury?
Yeah, they did it at Gunnersbury Park.
Wow.
They had it on tap. I was like, what is this like amazing nectar? and that blew my mind, and that helped me out a lot. Lucky Saints helped me out a lot. Corona Zero I really like as well.
Yeah, I just did a tour with those in the rider, and it was nice.
Elite. Oh, mate, the zeros have been unbelievable. And it's weird, actually, me and you probably said over the last year, I've probably had a lot less than you used to have. But that first 18 months, 2 years, like so reliant on it I don't think there is an unhealthy way of looking at it. It was like I replaced my drinking exactly the same, but with zeros.
Yeah.
And like, I've done nights out with Sam and everyone where I've like literally gone beer for beer, and I've ended up doing like 11 pints of like zero. I can't say I felt great,
but overdosing on sugar, right?
So I definitely have had a zero hangover.
Yeah,
which is very confusing.
It is very confusing.
Unfair.
But they're great. I mean, the zero market is unreal now, and I always used to love like Captain Morgan's and like ginger beer with like lime, and now you can get the zeros, and still on very special occasions that the champagne now is getting there, the wines are getting there.
So you've just reminded me. So you guys are always banging on about Ugly Butterfly. So they moved to Newquay, right?
Yeah,
Me and my partner went down there because I was playing Boardmasters. So on like the day before, it was kind of like what was it, an anniversary or something? I can't remember what it was now. We went to the Ugly Butterfly. Unreal.
Oh, did you
So
go?
good.
Nice.
I've got to thank you guys for this.
Did you do the pairing?
I didn't do the pairing, but I asked them for like some good
nice.
recommendations. They did like zero cocktails. And
Amazing.
they did the zero red wine. Like I've never had a good zero wine, but this red wine was like so dry and so delicious. And that was one thing for me, was especially over lockdown, I really got into red wine. Like I was drinking it like 4 days a week at home in front of the TV, watching like some Netflix crap. And I was banging to red wine, and that's one thing I've really missed. But the zero red wine that I had there blew my mind. Also, the bread where they have like the chicken skin butter.
Oh, yeah.
It blew our minds. Like my partner and I, we ordered like 3 courses of it. It was.
I think you must have had a very similar menu to us, because we were mind blown, and it was interesting actually. That red wine in particular, if it's the one I'm thinking of, was one that Matt Willis said he didn't want to drink because it was so similar to normal red wine. He was like, "No, I'm going to."
I think it was called the Savvy Red.
Savvy Red.
I was smelling it, and I was like, so my partner actually quit drinking with me, which I'll come on to that as well. But I was smelling it, and I was like, Rach, can you taste that? Because I'm actually really scared
that it's real
to taste it. Yeah, I was like, if I have a little taste of that and it's real and I really like it, then it's just
so
game over. Yeah.
Because what's the saying? It's 1 drink's not enough, 10 is too many, or whatever it is, right? Like that really applies to me. Like once I open Pandora's box, it's like I am drinking a lot and I'm getting drunk and I will not stop. But yeah, man, shout out to Ugly Butterfly for the zero pairings.
Yeah,
very good.
Big ups.
I love that. Partner going sober.
Yeah,
with you.
So basically, I think what kind of like led to me partially going sober was my partner. Shout out Rachel, she's from New Zealand. Drinking culture's like quite different there. Like pubs and stuff aren't really much of a thing. Like she moved here a couple of years ago, and she noticed like the whole culture of like people standing outside pubs, like pubs absolutely heaving on like a Tuesday evening.
Yeah.
And she was just like, "What is this all about? Like this just does not happen back in New Zealand. Like people drink, at a club or like at a bar on like a Friday or Saturday night, but don't have like I don't know. I just don't think like the sort of sesh culture is the same there." And so like we'd be going out on dates and going to dinners and going to pubs and stuff. And I was always like a big pub guy. So like any pub we went past, I was like, "Oh, fancy a pub?" I'd be like, "Oh, this is a good pub. Oh, yeah, this is a good pub as well. Let's stop here."
They do great Guinness. They do great lager. They
Literally,
do great this.
yeah. You just learn like the good pubs,
Yeah.
don't you? I mean, there's a lot of good pubs in London, which makes it really hard to quit drinking. But so she sort of like kind of highlighted that side of me where she's like, "Oh, you do kind of drink a lot, or you do choose a lot of opportunities to drink a lot." And so we go to dinner. Like I would always drink at dinner, like get a lot of wine and drink a ton of beer. And she just really highlighted that to me, how much I did that, and that kind of got me questioning. Like, well, okay, I don't have to sort of drink every day. We don't have to drink at every dinner. I guess this is where maybe the moderation started, and this is where it got a little bit tricky. But she's like very kind of health conscious, so we'll like kind of go to the gym quite a lot. She's like up at like 5:40 in the morning going to the gym and everything, which like now I'm sort of like almost doing, but like I was not doing that before.
Yeah.
I was like
Fuck that.
no earlier than like midday I think before, but she decided to go sober with me. Like I did not ask her to do that at all. Like one thing I was really scared of was like when I went sober, when I decided to make that decision, that it was going to kind of be game over eventually with the relationship. I thought like, if it doesn't happen at the start, like eventually it's just going to be an issue. Like she'll want to go out, I won't want to, or like that kind of thing. But like, bless her, she decided to go sober with me because again, she's like very health conscious, so she was up for it, and she was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it with you. And so she's basically like, I think actually like a little bit less than me, like maybe a couple of months before me kind of thing, or behind me. And that, I can't stress enough how helpful that is.
Yeah.
Like it is a big lifestyle change to quit drinking, isn't it? So like to have a partner that sort of supports that, like I just feel unbelievably lucky to actually have that, because I think it would have been about 10 times harder. You know, it's a bit like, I had like an ex before who smokes, and I smoked as well. That's another thing that I've had to quit in the past, but like used to smoke. And it was really tricky to stop smoking because she smoked as well. And I imagine it would have been like a really similar thing with the booze if I was trying to quit drinking and she didn't, you know?
Yeah, I found that I ended a relationship about a year into my sobriety because it was like I was getting up at 6 a.m. for a run. They were coming in at 6 a.m. from the club. And it's like, that was totally fine. It wasn't any shade on them, but like it was just completely unsustainable for where I needed to be. So it was like a very selfish decision. And then a few months later, I met my now partner who doesn't drink, or she used to drink for 6 months and not for 6 months, but not barely. But then since we've been together, she hasn't drunk either. And it's just like a completely different relationship on like every level, whether that's like connection, chemistry, communication, like transparent, like all the things that you're like tick, 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 like it's there. And I'm like, I can't imagine a world now where I dated someone who partied. No shade to people that do, but like for me, like I would never go back to that.
Well, it's just compatibility, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's amazing of her to do so, because I think if you were both in situations where you were going out and drinking a lot with dinners and the rest of it, like it probably would have been very hard to continue doing that with one person doing it and the other not.
Yeah.
But it's a very admirable thing.
I think it's quite funny. We went out for dinner one time, like quite soon after I'd quit drinking, and she hadn't yet. And she had a little bottle of beer whilst we were having dinner. And everything like seemed fine. And then afterwards, she was like, I think it was quite soon after that she quit, because she was like, I had that beer in front of you and just felt bad the whole time. Like, I don't think she's quit because of like out of sympathy or anything.
Yeah.
But like it would just be really awkward, if like one person's getting a buzz on and the other person isn't. Like, I think that would have been tricky for us because we love just like, I don't know, we do spend a lot of time together. She basically helps me with my social media.
Oh, amazing.
So like I brought her on for that because she was basically always nagging me about how I need to be more on social media. So she's like, you know what, you can pay me and then I'll just like...
Well, your socials are very good, to be fair.
Thank you, man.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, she'll love to hear that compliment as well.
Big up Rachel. Fuck you,
that's
Fred.
that's great. And
Big up Rachel, yeah.
it's amazing as well, because like when we did those things like the Ugly Butterfly, and when we did the event in January, it was mad because like as the night went on, like we had a load of sober people that didn't know each other really, like few did, but like the night was just getting raucous, like with people all sober people, and like we had to move because we were doing like a little bit of a pod live from there. We actually ended up moving the pod setup out of the corner of the room because it was too loud.
Yeah,
and it just kind of really cemented the fact that actually it's not always just like the booze and people getting loud and drunk. It's actually just people getting like more comfortable around each other and that sort of social interaction. And, and even when I'm like really into my food and stuff, and, especially since stopping drinking, and, I go with mates and some of them might drink, some of them might not. I go with Sarah to a lot of the, nice like Michelin restaurants when we go, and she sometimes might drink, sometimes might not. Yeah. But like, certainly she wouldn't do a wine pairing because she can't handle it. She doesn't really drink enough. So she's like, the thought of doing like 7 glasses of wine pairing, she wouldn't. So
I'm so envious of people that can do that. Like,
I know.
It's just like, to me, it's so different to the way I drink.
I know. It's lunacy.
Yeah.
I don't understand how she can like, if someone told her tomorrow, oh, you can't drink anymore, she'd be like, okay, like fine.
Fair.
And like, because it's, probably 2 or 3 times a year minimal.
I'd be like, 3 glasses of wine. Where's the bag? Where's the number? Don't eat the last 2 courses.
Yeah.
No
were
bag.
Were those quite like intrinsically linked with you? Like when you started drinking, was the bag like very
I
quickly
already
on
thought
mind?
of it.
Yeah.
That's where I can go to say it's so interesting about like how you frame addiction, because I can now look back and say I was a cocaine addict. without doing it every day. But like, if I knew that us three were meeting up after sessions today, I probably would have already called one in, turned up, and then after about 3 beers, been like, boys, like, and then tried to lead you guys down that path. And then I would have already figured out which mates of mine were in town that night, or like which person's house I could go to. Like, I was a really calculated gear taker. So I always knew where my nights would be. But then you don't think about the next day, but then the next day you feel like shit. So then maybe, so that was, for me, like.
Do you know this guy called Ryan in Recovery on TikTok?
Funnily enough, no, but I sent him to you because my friend loves him, because my friend was also a cocaine addict. You know, bad. Unfortunately, had a stroke through it. He's doing great now, but he was like, "You've got to get this guy on because he's the most real person." And he's saying how shit it is all the time, but is like so honest about it.
Yeah, so cocaine was never like much of an issue for me. Like, I've done enough of it in my time, but like never really got hooked on it or like was an addict or anything like that. But like I found him on TikTok, and just the way he talks about kind of addiction, I can kind of relate to a lot of what he was saying, even though it's very different to drinking. Like, the stuff that he was doing was like very dark, like, you know, locking himself away for like 3 days on end, having big old benders. But just like that kind of like, almost when you'd be in social situations, like I would get quite fixated on the drinking more than like the actual socializing. Like, I would be so distracted by like, how can I keep the buzz going, that I wasn't really like connecting with people. And like, that's kind of what he talks about a lot on his TikTok.
I was never present.
Yeah.
Could be one to get on. I was going to ask, like, have you, in your, I guess, like sobriety, have you got into anything else? Like,
yes.
Yeah, what?
I'm wearing a golf t-shirt right now.
Oh yeah, we had this conversation.
Fuck's sake.
I can't believe. Okay, yeah, let's keep the golf chat to a minimum. But like, I literally, if you'd asked me like a year ago that I was going to be sober, or like 18 months ago, if I was going to be sober and playing golf in the future, I would have told you to fuck off. It's crazy how things change. We should have a game at some point,
mate. Always down. I don't need asking twice.
But like, I mean, yeah, I want to keep the golf chat to a minimum, but like, it's such an amazing thing to be able to actually get out with mates and like have some good chats. You know, I think it's really good for that. Like, aside from it being a bit of a wanky sport,
I only jest.
It's really good for that kind of thing. You know, like, I've had a lot of like really good chats with mates who have been asking me to get into golf for ages. Finally taken it up, and that, you know, it is a really good way to do that without. You know, I just love now any way of socializing that doesn't revolve around like pubs and bars and whatever. Like, any kind of activity just like really appeals to me now.
Mate, I'm with you on that, and you know, I don't need to go on about golf anymore. Jamie, it's great. I think that connection point is the one, because I went and played. I played quite a lot with Shifky because he's got into it recently, and we went and played the other week, and it was just great. You know, we're talking, going around, talking about music stuff as well, and like, you know, he's been out in career, and you really have like a, you know, sort of 4-hour proper catch up with someone, and you leave and you're like, that was great. I wouldn't have got that had I been, you know, in the pub. It would have been like a distraction. Other people would have been, we're like, oh, where should we go now? Here, and you like kind of just don't really.
I bet you're on your phones less as well. I know I take the piss out golf.
I never look at my phone.
I bet you're not on your phone.
Apart from like using that app where you can track your shots and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I actually, my missus does get a bit annoyed at me because I'll like go AWOL for 4 hours, you know?
Yeah.
Like, because you are just so like, I mean, you're out in nature and you're with your mates, and you know, like, you're just that's the thing with like real connection, is that you don't, like, real connection, it doesn't, you don't then go like reaching for your phone if you're having a good time and like really connecting with people. Like, you don't even think about your phone, you know? And I think like golf sort of allows that to happen.
So interesting.
We'll get a game in very soon.
Yeah, 100%.
How have you found the scene embracing your sobriety? Like, has anyone, not naming names obviously, but has anyone sort of challenged it or not really understood it? Like, how have you found it?
It's been pretty amazing, to be honest. Like, no one's really said anything that's like sort of been challenging or anything. So when I hit a year a couple months ago, I put it on my stories. I think you guys saw that, and I like went into like things that have helped me, like the positives of not drinking, and I gave a shout out to the podcast as well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Because it's really massively helped me. I can't thank you guys enough. But the influx of messages that I had when I did that was just unbelievable. Like, for a solid day, like whilst those stories were up, I was replying to messages constantly.
Amazing.
And I felt like I had a duty to, because I kind of invited people to like message me. I was like, if you're interested and you want to have a chat about it, just message me. And I was like, holy shit, the inbox is just like ding, 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 just filling right up. Full of people being like, congratulatory or being curious about it, like asking questions about it, or like talking about their journeys as well, being like, oh, I've reached 2 years or whatever. And,
Amazing.
It's like the best thing. No, there was no negativity whatsoever, which I thought was like really eye-opening. Like the whole thing was just incredibly eye-opening to me because I thought either people weren't going to care or they'll just be like, oh, fucking, what? This is like dance music. Like, you can't be sober in dance music. But no, there's like a ton of people out there that, and like we've seen with the Diplo Run Club kind of thing, there's a lot of people out there that love the culture but aren't too fussed about like getting on it and getting high and drunk.
And I think it's that thing as well, isn't it? Like people like yourself or Patrick Topping, like putting that flag in the sand, being like, hey, like, yeah, I do this for a career. I am very successful. I am traveling the world, but actually like there is an alternative lifestyle to like being a pinged up Brandon Block that we all kind of remember from the 90s.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's sad. Like I as much as I'd love to be that character, like from Kevin and Perry, like it's not sustainable. Like with the amount that we travel and the amount of hours that we put into our work, like I think like you guys probably agree, like we probably end up working more than like people that have sort of office jobs, like full-time jobs. Like I'm not going to call out any job in particular, but we put in like a ton of hours because we're sort of self-employed and also like music's incredibly competitive and quite like it's a sort of roller coaster of emotions, and that can be really kind of draining. So removing alcohol from the equation for me has like really made things so much smoother, and I can just really actually like knuckle down with my career and just do the things. So far I'm like ticking off a lot of things that I've been wanting to do for a while, and it's just feeling a lot healthier. Like, don't get me wrong, jet lag is really difficult. Tiredness is really difficult. Like having to get up, to play like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. is quite challenging still.
Man, I next week I'm off to the US with Tom Sota because
love Tom.
He's doing 5 back-to-backs in America, and I was like, I'm not going to let you do this on your own.
Oh, nice.
So we're doing Washington to San Fran to Portland to Chicago to Salt Lake City to LA. Yeah, 5 shows, 5 days. So I'm like, I'm going to be intrigued because he still drinks, but I think I'm intrigued to see. He's not bad at all, but like whether me being there will maybe make him change his approach to shows. Not that I care if it doesn't, but I'm excited for that with him because we've done Australia together, but that what it's like 2 shows in a weekend, week off, like best
chilling
tours
on the
ever.
beach.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be crazy intense. It's like 2-3 a.m. stage time, 11 a.m. flight every day, like for 6 days in a row.
Yeah, America's
so that's going to be intriguing.
It's a bit of a beast, isn't it? America, It sort of feels different to touring anywhere else. But yeah, man, I love Tom. Like I've had a good few beers with him before as well down in Bristol. He's a lovely guy. He doesn't strike me as someone that's like problematically drinking.
Nah, he's not at all. Yeah, he's got his head screwed on.
I think it's like a really nice thing that you're going with him as well, because that is the toughest stuff, is like being on your own. I find like when I have people that I know that are going to be at a show or like are doing the same run as me, like the difference it makes, it's just like unbelievable.
The one thing I would say fucking sucks for me since going sober is jet lag.
Yeah,
it's so much worse.
Well, because you would drink through it, right?
You drink through it and reset your body, and now I'm just there, and I'm so fucking routined that I'm just there and waking up in LA, and it took me like 11 days last time to get on and like onto a. And I was
like home time.
Shit. But everything else is great, so don't worry.
I mean, LA is like a really kind of difficult time zone from here, isn't it? It's like a really kind of awkward time. Where like, always coming to and from there, like it's way harder than say doing New York, for example, because it's only like several hours. Well, actually, no, a bit more than that. But like LA's a really awkward time for jet lag.
Yeah, it's not the one.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that was my thing. Like when I was drinking and going to these places where I'm experiencing massive jet lag, like you do just have to drink through it. Like when you're tired, drink can really give you that extra stamina. And like I've heard you guys talk about this on the podcast quite a lot, but like you notice your energy levels when you go sober. Like that is one of the downsides. Well, and maybe one of the plus sides that you're just kind of aware of it, right? Yeah. You're aware of how your body actually feels.
Yeah, you're like, maybe you should sleep right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're much more in tune, for better or worse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting how it kind of like unlocks this this kind of awareness of what your body's doing and what your mind's doing. Like I really kind of value that. It's a bit like just like the thing with alcohol is that it numbs you so much to like everything. It like literally numbs you to like good feelings, numbs you to bad feelings, and that's kind of like the issue with it,
I'm with you. I think it might be time. The big 3.
I'm ready.
So, number one, for anyone that's thinking about going on a journey of sobriety, what's your single best piece of advice?
I think the biggest advice would be listen to this podcast. No, I think it would be
Social clip.
That's it. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, no, I would say like I didn't understand what this was going to be like until I gave it substantial time. Like you can kind of imagine what it's going to be like, but you don't know what really going sober is going to be like until you give it substantial time. And I'm talking like at least sort of 3 months, I think, to like really feel the benefits of it and really start to put things in place in your life to actually make it work. Like you're going to have to change a few things and maybe cut out a few dodgy friends here and there and whatever. And maybe you're going to have to start exercising more. You're going to have to start eating healthier, maybe. But until you've like done a good bit of groundwork with sobriety, I personally don't think you can just do like a month off. I think you do need like a substantial amount of time to like understand it. And they'd be like, oh, okay, I kind of get it now, you know? Like, it took me a good 3 to 6 months to, like, really know what this was all about. Because, like, this is the mental thing, right? Since I was about a teenager, like, maybe 17, 18, I'd barely gone, like, a week without drinking. Like, drinking just became such a big part of my life. Like, every weekend up until now, since my teen years, involved drink. And then when I cut it out, I was like, I just can't believe how much, like I never even did like a dry Jan, never took like more than maybe like 2 weeks off drinking kind of thing. I got into weed quite a lot when I was like around 2021. So around that time, maybe I wasn't drinking so much because I was just like baked quite a lot. But yeah, so like you really have to just take a substantial amount of time, I think. So just give it a go and be open-minded about it and just give it enough time. I would say would be like my biggest advice.
That's great advice.
And that is a social clip.
That is. So question number 2. What is the single best thing that sobriety has brought you, apart from golf?
Apart from golf? Oh damn, I was going to say golf. I'd say like like this just gets talked about all the time, but it's like, it is just that connection, like that real sort of connecting with people in, you know, the real world. Like you are genuinely just so much more open to like, actually connecting with people and being present. Like presence is like a word that seems to be thrown about a lot by sober people, but like I just can't stress that enough. The way that I was just when I was drinking, you do tend to focus quite a lot on like keeping the buzz going, or you know maybe if you are into like drugs or whatever, like keeping that high going, and it's really distracting to like actual socializing and actual conversation. You know, you might think that the drink is kind of like enabling that, but a lot of the time it does get in the way. It's not the case for everyone, but like certainly for me, it was really getting in the way of socializing. And I would like one thing I would do quite a lot, and this is again something that Rachel kind of highlighted to me, was like when we would go out, she'd be like, "Oh, do you want to have like a beer before we go out?" And I'd be like, "Well, no, because if I start now, then we'll like get in the cab and then we'll get in the tube, and it'll be like too long between having like the next drink." And then like, because like that was how my kind of mind works when I drink. As soon as I have one, that just starts to wear off.
Yeah,
and I'm
the
just
clock's
constantly
ticking and away.
I'm just like, I'm like constantly on the clock now. I'm like, once you've opened Pandora's box, it's like, it's just all downhill from there, you know? So like, I just think that it can be so distracting to being present, being in the room and actually like listening to people and actually having like good, healthy conversation, you know?
Nice.
It's great.
And lastly, we would like Fred to write a letter to drunk, chaotic Fred. So if you start with Dear Fred, what would you say to your non-sober self?
So dear drunk, chaotic Fred. This is Fred from the future. I would say like there's like a version of you that like deep down you want to be, and you're not sure like what's kind of getting in the way of that. And I think that removing alcohol, for me so far, I'm like 14 months in now, so far that is allowing me to be the person that I've always kind of wanted to be. Like deep down, like, there is a version of you that you want to be and you're not quite sure how to get there. And I think that you should really consider how alcohol is having like an impact on that, maybe stopping you from reaching a lot of potential in certain aspects of your life. Yours sincerely, Fred from the future.
Mate, well, Fred from the future, thank you very much. That was an amazing episode.
Yeah, thank you, mate. It's great.
Really
No,
insightful.
thank you so much.
And mate, yeah, thanks for the kind words and keep smashing it.
Well, yeah, no, I've just got to say, like, thank you so much, guys, for doing the pod. Like, it's been, you know, a really big part of inspiring me to sort of go sober. So, like, yeah, I'm super thankful for that, because I don't think there's many people out there doing what you guys do, especially in our field. You know, it's like almost like a bit of a taboo subject sometimes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.